As we know, election, Prime Minister will call it when he decides. It'll be sometime between April and May. Earlier in April means less chance of a budget. We'll all wait and see when it is going to be. But who do you believe, the polls or the bookies? Well, if, like me, the United States election was very instructive and the bookies were the ones who had greater clarity than the pollsters, then today is a very important day because the odds of the coalition winning are getting stronger. In fact, according to the very latest numbers, which have just been posted by Sportsbet, the coalition is now down to $1.53. The Labor Party out to $2.50. Now, not what version, whether it's a majority, a minority, which way, all the rest of it, that's the fun to watch. But that is commanding, not total, not complete, obviously. Once you're starting to get down where the WA Labor Party is at like $1.01 and the opposition is out to $11, then something seems inevitable. But they have been consistent. They've been consistent since the end of last year, and it has been getting better for the coalition since the start of this year, after the Prime Minister trying to take as little time off as possible in summer, reset here, reset there, speech here, speech there, no big change. But you will have heard today about the opinion poll, which was up at the Redbridge people and given to the Herald Sun this morning, which was about the outer suburban factor. Now, of course, the seats that Labor would take for granted, places like Werribee in the state election, well, we now know that there's a few holes in that block of cheese and there is a good chance that there could be some dramatic things that are going to happen in the suburbs at the election. Now, whether that's enough to get the coalition close or even over the line to 76 seats, well, that is the entire game between now and then. But I wanted to take a moment or two. Once you've heard all of the insights from Victoria, and we did all those last night, another reason to join us on Sunday nights, regardless of what sport's on or anything else that's on, make sure that you watch it live, record it, or catch up on streaming, because we get right into the granular on the Sunday night, meaning most of that chat has been done and you can start your Monday fully informed. Now, you've heard many people talk about this poll. I want to take a couple of seconds to go through the poll, because it is going to start to tell us the story of opportunity for the opposition, worry for the government, or are there some silver linings in them political clouds? Let's look at all of this together. All right. The overall right now, Labor Party is behind 51.5 to 48.5. Obviously, that would be a change of government. But let's start to slice this pie up. Men and women. Now, there is going to be a massive gendered part to this election and about how people are going to vote. Now, we know that men have been getting behind the Conservative cause in places like the United States, Canada, and even in places like New Zealand, of course, of recent times. You can see there, though, the lead that the Labor Party has with women is only 51-49. The lead with men is 54-46 in favour of the coalition. Now, basically, in Australia, half of the electorate is male, half the electorate is female. Half of the electorate is under the age of 50, half of the electorate is over the age of 50. So when you start to see big trends, then you're starting to see like a whole bunch of people pulling in the right direction when it comes to the rowboat. So it is starting to tilt towards the right. Now, the best hope for the Labor Party is to hold on to as many young voters as possible at 57-43. But I really want to show you this number here, because this is the silver lining for the Labor Party people. 35-49, Labor currently leads 51-49. Now, generally speaking, this is the demographic that ultimately is where most of the young families or people towards the start or middle parts of their professional career are. This is generally speaking where a lot of swing voters are. Now, as I mentioned before, over the age of 50, well, that obviously tends pretty hardcore blue. Under the age of 50, it only goes hardcore in 18 to 34s. So 51-49 is razor. I mean, that's rounding errors, and did they ask enough people in this place or that place? But that tells you that obviously the reason how they've been able to get to a scenario where the Liberal Party ends up in front is because of those massive leads, 65 plus and 50 to 64. So people over the age of 50, at least 55 up to 60% of those people going one way, and not enough young people going Labor's way, hence why this thing starts to get tighter. Now, I want to get into another bit of detail here because I reckon you can cop it. Let's slice and dice as much of this information as possible. Let's have a look at where people live and how that is breaking down right now, and how does this compare to where you are. You can see how it's a slightly flatter picture than what you just saw when it came to age and when it came to gender. Unsurprisingly, people who live right in the heart of the cities, 54-46 in favour of Labor. In the suburbs, 55-45 would see the Labor Party lose a whole bunch of seats. Now, this basically is the bet, that you wouldn't need teal seats, that you would be able to get enough seats to get yourself to, say, 70 to then start negotiating after 70 if suburbs. And there's plenty of those in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane that are up for play, plus, of course, what's happening in outer suburban Adelaide, what might be happening in Darwin, and then once we get over to Western Australia as well. The government, however, sees a little bit of a silver lining here in the provincial numbers. So that would be, say, Wollongong or Newcastle, speaking in New South Wales. Whether you count places like Darwin as provincial or as capital cities, a demographer can get involved in that. The reason I keep mentioning Darwin is the seat of Solomon. Now, that was held by the Liberal Party for quite a period of time. It then left the Liberal Party. It's been Labor ever since. But it is a place that can swing. Lingiari, and again, whether you count a place like Alice Springs as a provincial place or a country town, again, up to the demographers, right? But as you can see, suburbs, they are moving and moving hard. A 10-point swing in those is pretty bad for the government. The provincial sectors, though, may they be able to hold the Liberal Party back from being able to get near its minority and Labor able to hold on to its minority. There are lots of seats in and around the Hunter Valley that are long sort of spoken as a bit of a white whale for the Nats or the Libs. Is that what's about to happen? We'll see. And unsurprisingly, the same margin in the suburbs is reflected in regional Australia. This one is really fascinating to me. People that are born in Australia, 51-49 in favour of the coalition. People born overseas. But hang on, aren't the coalition the racist people trying to scare people about foreign buyers and immigration? No, guess what? Again, that fascinating number, and I don't know if my team can toggle around here, but we'll do our best, okay? As you can see, people born outside of Australia, 52%, then go back to outer metropolitan areas. That's where people that are newer to the country end up living. So if you've got a lead amongst those born outside of the country and you've got a substantial lead in that outer metropolitan areas, that's where maybe some of the taken for granted Labor vote will start to disappear. All right, a couple more because I think you can handle it. And again, I want to get right into the data here. I know there's an awful lot of it here, but you can start to see the picture and you'll also start to hear what they are saying when it comes to the election. Now, a lot about education. Now, this is a big issue in American politics about people who've got a university education or people who didn't even finish year 12. Fascinatingly to me, are people who have got a TAFE or a trade. Those people are 58-42 right now in favour of the Liberal Party. People who didn't finish year 12, 64% in favour of the Liberal Party. The silver lining for the Labor Party is that people who finished school but didn't go to university, they have a pretty sizable lead there, 56-44, and again a sizable lead of people who have been to university. In the overall picture of Australians and what sort of education they have, it's pretty even amongst all four of these sectors. So you have a look at, say, the leads of the people who never finished year 12, the leads of the people who are TAFE or vocational, and that's how the Liberal Party gets its nose ever so slightly in front, at least according to this one. The other defining factor of what happened in America, and again, why they talk about what they talk about every day, is none other than the amount of money that we all have. For those that are sitting pretty, in fact earning more than $2,000 a week, guess what? They prefer the Labor Party.